Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
Hey guys, this is Malika Singhania and you are tuned in to the Styleogram podcast, your one-stop shop for style tips, trend reports and fashion forecasts. Here we have with us Anchal Kumar, a supermodel and showstopper for many designers. I personally know her best from the Bigg Boss series. Let's talk to her and find out about all things stylish. Hi Anchal.
Hi, how are you, Malika?
Very well. How are you?
Very good.
How do you
for
feel?
Having me here.
Thank you so much for coming on. So, Anchal, are you ready to get started and crack on?
Totally. Can't wait.
Great. So, Anchal, tell us a little bit about your childhood, where you were born and your background and how you got into modeling.
Well, I come from Chandigarh, a beautiful city called Chandigarh, and I'm the youngest of 4 girls. So, 3 older siblings who are girls. Has been a lot of fun growing up. So when it came to, being a model,
right.
I think the credit goes to my sisters. So being the youngest of the family, you're always taken for a ride. Your sisters treat you like the guinea pig at home.
Right.
So pretty much, in the same sense, this is how it worked out for me. My sisters always thought I was lean. They always thought I was tall enough. They always felt I had the face and the features to actually look good in pictures.
And you actually do have the face and the features.
Thank you.
So then what made you apply to Glad Rags?
So soon after I moved to Bombay, I got my portfolio done by Dabu Ratnani. And, to my surprise, I got a lot of big campaigns offered to me from, brands like Sunsilk and Rexona and a bunch of other things just came my way, which is when I decided this money is really good. The kind of money I was making, it was definitely more than pocket money. Besides, it gave me reason to skip college. It gave me a sort of a legitimate reason to skip college. So I decided to continue with it. And that's when some friends who had made along the way in the modeling industry, they told me about the contest. I'd heard about Glad Rags. I knew they'd produced some really, incredible names, a lot of talent. So I just decided, I said, I have nothing to lose. Perhaps I should go meet them and see if I like what they have to offer. The minute I met Mrs. Maureen Wadia, she runs the contest.
Right.
She's the mentor behind, some of the very successful names you hear of.
She's fabulous herself.
Yeah, she is. She's lovely. So that half an hour meeting with her sort of convinced me that I did want to join the contest. It wasn't about winning the title at that time. It was more about learning from her. I knew I would learn, from her especially and from the people she had on board. Yeah, she had some really well-known people who were grooming the girls and the boys. So a really nice lineup of people that she had. So that's how I applied for the contest.
And then you actually went ahead and won it.
Yes, I did.
That's amazing. How old were you then? Like 16?
I was 18 at that time.
Wow, that must have been some head rush for an 18-year-old.
It was a lot of fun, Malika. It gave me a lot of recognition overnight.
Of course.
So people started taking me very, very seriously overnight. Suddenly there were pictures in the newspapers. People were calling me for shows and stuff that I'd never done before. So I think it was a lot of fun, besides the experience of being a lot more groomed than I was earlier.
Right. So let's backtrack. So you came back to Bombay and then you basically dived into these fashion shows.
Correct.
And you did everything from Lakme, Blender, Sprite, Signature. Which one was your favorite?
I think I've enjoyed doing solo shows a lot more, solo designer shows a lot more than fashion weeks. Though fashion weeks have their own frenzy. You're doing 4 to 5 shows in a day as a model. You're supporting so many different looks, changes in hair and makeup, wearing some clothes which are very, very difficult to manage, trying to maintain a very straight face when you're wearing the most difficult garment. But personally, I enjoy doing solo shows. So one of my favorites in these so many years is a show I did for Abu Jani and Sandeep Khosla about 2 years back. The show was choreographed by Lubna. And there was so much drama, there was so much intensity. It was an art deco sort of meets fashion sort of a show. So I really enjoyed doing that.
Okay. And you walked for Manish Malhotra, Neeta Lulla, Tarun Telyani. Which one has been your favorite?
Well, there's so many great names, they're all a pleasure to work with, but I think because I loved whatever I wore from Manish's collections is the reason why I chose to wear Manish at my wedding. So I went to him for my bridal trousseau. I went to him and to Sabyasachi. I think these guys, though they're very popular, they're very big names, but they also understand when a bride comes to them, it's more about how the bride looks her best. It's not about their design. So I think
it's about personal style.
It's about personalizing their style.
Right.
And of course, then there's Gaurav Gupta, there's Rocky S, who I adore, absolutely adore, and a bunch of others.
Are they very different in their working styles?
See, everybody has their individual personality, apart from, how they execute their work. And of course, most of their designs are very different, their style, their designs. So, luckily, I've had the pleasure of working with some really nice designers, though they're very big names, but at the same time, they're humble, they're fun to work with,
Right.
They're people you can relate to.
Right. And Fashion Week pretty much is, the same few models that walk for all the shows, right? So you're actually wearing the clothes from all the designers that are participating. That can actually get quite exhausting.
Yes, it used to be very, very exhausting, Malika, because people don't realize that a model's called to the venue way earlier than the shows actually begin. There are rehearsals to be done, there are last minute fittings to be done, or so models are called way in advance to do hair and makeup as well. So at times it used to be very exhausting because in between shows, you're running from one show to the other,
Right.
and in case the day is getting delayed because of the delay in shows, it used to be difficult for you to even go and grab a coffee or go and grab lunch. So it used to get very, very tiring. So you come back home extremely drained. So I feel if there were, lesser shows, perhaps a model would feel less taxed. But
Right.
It used to be an exhausting sort of a day.
But adrenaline rush at the same time?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, of course. I've been wearing some of the most amazing clothes, even before they hit the stores, even before people who can actually afford to wear them get to wear them. You are chosen to showcase those clothes. So, of course, that's a high when there are some really important people in the audience, when your choreographer has expectations of you, when certain things are difficult, perhaps the shoes the designer's given you, or the makeup perhaps you're sporting, or the light that falls on your face, at that point you have to forget about all the disadvantages and just focus on making that garment look good, because eventually that's your job.
Right. I attended Lakme Fashion Week 2016 and we were on the front row, and it was so nerve-wracking for us because we were seeing these amazing clothes and these models just, with this stoic look, but then someone's shoelace opened and, they had to pretend like they didn't notice. Someone tripped a little bit and, they just had to go on with the same expression.
Yeah.
And that can be quite scary for a model. And, have you had an experience like that?
Well, of course, Malika, I guess it's part and parcel of being in this industry. Nothing is foolproof, right? Even though you do your fittings, even though you do your rehearsals, something like this can happen to anybody. So thankfully, I've never tripped or fallen down. Though I've seen some girls, have had a bad fall, or any of such bad experiences. But I do remember, again coming back to Fashion Week, sometimes within one show you have 3 or 4 multiple changes, right? And you do get a very short time to run back into the green room, get into the second garment, take a quick look at your cue sheet at times if there's a change in choreography.
What is the cue sheet? So help us capture the energy behind the scenes, because none of us have been behind the scenes, and I always wonder what it's like. Is there someone waiting for with your clothes? Is there a makeup artist waiting for each model? Help us capture a little bit of that.
Well, I wish there was a makeup artist waiting for each model. Unfortunately, that's not the case.
There are no budgets for that.
But it's very professional. It's extremely well organized. So there is a designated backstage manager. There's an area called the green room, which is only for the models. Each model has a helper who comes to help them change, get into an outfit. and get into their shoes. So you get your own mirror, you don't get your own makeup artist, but of course there are assistants around to help you, in case you need a dab or if you need a little bit more of makeup or whatever. So it's very, very professional, very well organized, but the minute you're on the stage, you're on the ramp, you have this expression of being so serene or looking sexy or smiling, depending on the cue you've been
I have
giving.
a question about that. Why do all models look so serious?
See, it always depends on the theme the designer has. Sometimes we are asked to look sexy. Sometimes we are asked to smile. Sometimes you're asked to look dead. Because I feel the reason behind this is that designers don't want the attention to go on the face, but they want the attention to go on the outfit. Sometimes a model's expression can be very distracting to the audience. So I
agree, but at the same time, I feel like all women are aspiring to be happy. And if you see happy models, you'd want to buy the clothes even more.
Correct.
So I don't understand why this whole seriousness and stoicness, and especially, like Sabyasachi makes an effort to de-glam his models.
Correct.
With like the very large, not the bindis, but the spectacles. And I've never really understood why that happens. Can you throw some light?
Of course. I think I love smiling on the ramp, and even otherwise, I think when you smile, you look even better. But, you have to follow the instructions by the end of the day, whatever your show director, your choreographer or your designer ask you. So there's a brief, when they tell you that this is the choreography we want. There's also a lot of stress given upon the expressions, right? So if you're asked to maintain a very straight deadpan look, so I feel that's a lot of influence from the West as well. If you put on fashion TV, if you see any of the top-notch fashion shows, you'll see the models not smiling unless they've been asked to, or they don't end up looking too sexy.
And what is the dynamic like in the fashion industry between the models? Whatever we know is from the movie Fashion, which didn't really throw a very great light, positive light on the modeling industry. Is there a lot of competition like any other industry? Is there camaraderie? How do models support each other?
Well, there's so much friendship and so much support. I think that movie was complete hogwash.
Really?
It was, it's a director's license to showcase what they want to, but it was just so dramatic that most of us found it very amusing. But, coming back to your question, I think when it comes to doing ramp shows, you're spending so much time together, days and days during fashion week. So if you're traveling for a tour, as well as, most of us have had very long careers. So you make some really good friends. In fact, all my close friends are only models.
Oh,
I didn't, for the longest time, I didn't know of anybody who was out of this profession, because you only end up meeting the same people.
Because you're in that bubble and you get each other's schedules.
Correct.
And mindset.
So you look out for each other. Of course, there are times when I see there is a little bit of, people are competitive. People can get a little nasty, but you know what? That happens in each and every workplace.
That's
it
true.
happens everywhere. So it's all
not
about,
anymore in the modeling industry.
Yeah, there you go.
And let's talk a little bit about the whole sizing issue in the in modeling industry. There's so much said about that internationally and domestically. I personally feel that size 0 is pretty much out of fashion now. Would you say the same thing for the modeling industry?
Well, I've never believed in size 0, to be honest, because size 0, what was size 0? It was just a term that became popular when, in the West, they tried to gather some eyeballs. So basically, a US size 2 was rechristened as a size 0. So there is nothing like a size 0 as such. And I feel it's more about, people should be encouraged to be fit, more toned, as compared to just being skinny without any muscle and just looking anorexic.
Right.
I think that doesn't look nice.
I was seeing a documentary on Victoria's Secret models recently, and it was very sad. I mean, most of them who've now gotten out of that phase of their lives say how stressful it was, and even though they were less than a size 0, they still had to skip meals, and they were still not thin enough, and the amount of rigorous training that you had to go through. And I feel like India is probably not has never reached that point. And in fact, I think internationally as well, the whole movement towards, if I may say so, excel size models like Ashley Graham, who came on Sports Illustrated. She was, I think, the first excel size model to make it on the cover, and it made big news. And even the Madeline Stewart, who's the model with Down syndrome, who's doing excessively well for herself. So I think there's a lot of diversity coming into the modeling industry as well, which is great.
Correct.
What do you think about that?
No, totally agreed. I think, we don't have pressures that the models in the West face a lot. For us, it's definitely a lot more easier. But having said that, you can't, as I said earlier, you can't expect to have a glorious career if you're not disciplined.
Right.
A lot of people think modeling is easy money because it's all about, wearing different outfits, putting on some makeup. People don't realize there's a lot of discipline. I've seen people who've been disciplined, who've been punctual, who've been rigorous in terms of their efforts of reinventing themselves and looking good are the ones who've had very long careers as compared to those who probably got famous overnight but had temper tantrums or, disciplinary issues, not coming on time. So I think it's very important to sort of know that there is a lot of responsibility and there's no scope for misbehaving,
Right.
There are so many models out there who will probably be used to replace you in no time.
Right. Okay, now let's talk about something of more masala and something lighter. Tell us about your experience with Bigg Boss.
Wow, Malika. So I was a part of Bigg Boss in season 4. So that was the first year Salman Khan was hosting it. And that was a life-changing experience. It was a lot of fun. But at the same time, it was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. Really,
Why would you say that?
Difficult thing. In several ways. Several ways. So there are about 60 to 70 cameras following you every day. There was absolutely no privacy. You were housed in a place with very different people, a bunch of people you've never seen before or interacted with, or very different compared to what I am as a person. And of course, the tasks that you get, just the way the format of the show is very difficult. There's guests, your food, you have to do your own sort of jobs and, daily household chores. Then you have to be entertaining and there's zero privacy.
You have to look good. You have to dress
look
up.
good, which wasn't very hard for me.
That you're used to. But how long were you there for?
I was there for 6 weeks.
And would you go back again now, especially because now Bigg Boss has become so much bigger?
See, every year it's become bigger and bigger. And I think, when I got out of that house, I decided I would never do a reality show ever again because it did take a lot of toll on me emotionally, mentally, and physically. I lost 6 kilos in 6 weeks.
Wow.
I was very skinny at that time. So, when I came out, I looked very, very anorexic. Apart from that, there were a lot of games that were being played. That's the format of the show. I mean, that's why the show is successful. You are told that things like this will happen, and if you want to do it, you do it for the experience. So for me, that first 1 or 2 months were very, very difficult because when you get out and you see the reruns and then you see the controversies and the backbiting and the nonsense that was going on, it bothers you for a little bit. But I'm very thankful that I did that show because it changed me as a person. I was a person of few words. I never liked confrontations. I believed in being dignified, and I felt that, sometimes silence can be more dignified than fighting and being crass. I'd never be crass even now. I think it's very important to be dignified, but I wish I'd had dialogue a lot more. The power of dialogue is so important. Just by keeping quiet doesn't set you right, even though you're right.
Right.
So that sort of, and apart from that, the kind of work that I got for the next few years. So I'm very happy with that sort of experience.
But tell me, do you think that people actually come in with a strategy? Because a lot of times we don't know whether that's truly who they are or whether they're just pretending to be that person for the TRPs. What do you think?
Of course, a lot of people come there with strategies. And in fact, I wish I had time before the show. I was asked only a week before joining the show. A week or 10 days. I think it was 10 days. And for me, the struggle at the time was whether to say yes to doing it or no to doing it. Now people, when they go into the show, they actually have somebody handling their Facebook account and their Twitter. So basically social media is covered. Somebody is, out there making sure you're getting the right amount of votes. And people do have a strategy, and why not? You're on that show to, in order to be seen. Right. There are a lot of people who want to become actors. There are a lot of people who are probably not getting work and want to get more work. So it's a big sort of an opportunity, and if you use it rightly to get noticed, you will be noticed.
Right.
Unfortunately for me, I was a model. I knew I always wanted to be a model. There was no sort of plan B to become an actor after that or to get into something else after that. And as I told you, I had such little time, so my struggle was to decide whether I want to do it, how to, get out of the jobs that I was committed to already. And so that's sort of, and I just wanted to be myself. So for me, there was no sort of an agenda out there.
Well, I'm glad you were yourself, because I think even if people are trying to get TRPs with a strategy, it's usually going down the very negative sort of aggressive route of fighting with people. And that really doesn't help you in the long run, I think. So it's good to just be yourself. And even if you get out a little bit early, but that's fine, because that's the impression that you've created of yourself to the audiences. And I have to ask this because everyone talks about it and is thinking is Bigg Boss staged or rigged?
I don't think it's staged at all. I've been in that house for 6 weeks. So personally speaking, from my experience, it's not at all staged. It's just such a clever format. The format of the show is so brilliant, that you're bound to get angry. You're bound to lose your cool. You're bound to get irritated and upset, even though you sort of, you become friendly with somebody in the show. The next day you get a task where you're competing with that person. Mm-hmm. And, it's the survival of the fittest at the end of it. We would often compare the show to a boot camp, when you're not fed properly, when you're not sleeping enough, when you have no privacy, when you're missing your family, you're missing your friends, you're missing the freedom of, being in your own house as opposed to doing things that make you uncomfortable. Of course, people are going to lose the plot, So it appears very staged from the outside, but it is only, when you are in those conditions inside is what, brings out the worst or probably the best in you.
Okay. And what about, do you think it's rigged?
I don't think I would use a term like, a show being rigged. Of course, every now and then you hear of reality shows being rigged, but also I feel that, people who've truly deserved to sort of be in the top 3 or the top 4 are the ones who actually make it, because I think the format of Bigg Boss in specific is about entertaining people. People like you and me will watch the show only if we see something funny or something dramatic or something crazy or something over the top happening. If people are just going to chill and be sophisticated, nobody's going to watch the show.
No one's interested in that.
I think in the last few years, I have seen people who've been entertaining, whether it's for the better or the worse, whether they've been aggressive or whether they've genuinely been, sort of entertaining, are the ones who've made it towards the end. Yes. But eventually how the system works, because you can't go and count the votes or ask for them to show you the actual proof. I don't know how that part works, but that's my 2 bits.
Thanks for this. It's definitely very enlightening. And on that note, let's take our first break and we'll come back with lots more fashion stuff.
Hi, I'm Tejas.
Hi, I'm Jishnu, and we are the nerds from Geek Fruit. If you're a nerd, this is exactly the kind of show you didn't even know you were looking for.
And if you don't believe us, you can check out Geek Fruit exclusively on Savan.
May the force be with you.
You nerds.
Hey guys, we're back with Anchal Kumar from our break, and now we're going to talk about the super cool trends that are ruling the ramps. So Anchal, are you ready to tell us maybe 3 trends that you're loving right now?
Oh, well, there's so many, but if you ask me to pick the top 3, I think sneakers have really made a comeback. Mm-hmm. It's amazing to see how sneakers are being teamed with not just pants and track pants or sweatpants, but also with dresses and skirts. Some designers even made models wear sneakers with saris, but I think it's just so comfortable, quirky and trendy. So that's my number one. Number two, boyfriend jeans. How much cooler can that be?
Yeah.
So they're comfortable, they look good, they're funky with, a little bit of toned patches.
Do you think a curvaceous woman can wear boyfriend jeans as well, or do you need to have like a leaner body type for it?
I think a curvaceous woman can definitely wear boyfriend jeans, as long as it's teamed with the right sort of a top. If she's slightly on the heavier side, if she's wearing a tight fitted top, won't look nice, but something which is slightly looser would look really nice.
Okay.
And
is there another trend?
Yes, in terms of hairstyling, so what I've seen of late is that, the out of bed look, so like a messy bun or, just having a plait done even with a trendy gown. So you just do like just a side plait or, a French braid. So I think that's so much more cooler than having those prim and proper tight curls or, blow-dried hair.
I think the half bun, which is essentially the bun which is tied behind your head, but there's still open hair,
yes,
which Priyanka Chopra sports in Quantico, is actually very cool right now, and I see a lot of that, so it's very much in trend. The other one that I've noticed, and tell me what you think about it, is this nearly naked trend, which is what everyone's been doing in the red carpet, especially abroad, where they're wearing fabric in a way that it's essentially pretty much only hiding their private parts. Correct. And everything else is everything else is seen. What do you think of that?
See, personally, I would never sport something like that because, that's not my style. But I've seen a lot of that. Some of them look very, very nice and elegant where, where fabrics like net or something sheer, like lace has been used very classically. Mm-hmm. So I think that looks really nice. But there are certain designs which just make it look very vulgar. So I think that's something that I don't like at all.
Yeah. And I think an offshoot of the nearly naked trend is the nude bikini, which I just came across last week. Kim Kardashian was in it, and the nude bikini is basically a skin-colored bikini, and from a distance it looks like you're not wearing anything.
Correct.
And apparently it's now the latest thing, and all the the Hollywood celebrities are sporting it. Is that something that you think looks cool as well? Or
I think every sort of quirk, every sort of design has its niche audience. So I personally think it just looks very, it's just not my style again. I think colors are so good. There's so many different varieties and, swimwear and bikinis. They're quirky colors. There's so many different designs. So it's not the same, boring stuff that used to be produced earlier. Mm-hmm. So I think I'd stay away from something like that. But I would prefer sporting colors.
Okay. And tell us, Anchal, have you ever had a fashion faux pas or a funny fashion faux pas that you've seen someone else making and they haven't even noticed?
Well, several times, Malika. I wouldn't like to comment on others, but personally, I don't mind sharing this with you. When I was very new to the industry, I never knew the right sort of makeup. So it was always about, my face would look 3 shades lighter than the rest of my skin tone. And sometimes when I'd see the photographs, I'd be scared because I'd look like a ghost. Mm-hmm. You're looking 3 shades lighter than your skin tone. So
you look anemic then.
Sorry?
You look anemic then.
Yeah, you just don't look, something doesn't look right, know. So that's something I immediately stopped. I went to some, experienced makeup artists and showed them those pictures and said, what am I doing wrong? And then they told me how to put the right sort of, you blend the right foundation and apply it, because you can get carried away by buying the wrong things, Mm-hmm. It's not like people who are selling you those things give you the right sort of information. So I'm glad that, I chose to go to somebody and learn from them.
Oh, great. Wow. What do you think of, the bra showing, a lot of women wear outfits where the straps of their bras are showing. Do you think that's a fashion faux pas, or do you think that's totally okay?
Oh, no. Totally. A complete no. I just, I just cringe. Even when you asked me that question, I sort of cringed because that's a complete no. I think, there's so so many options available, from wearing a strapless bra to, there's several sorts of options available. So I think if you're wearing an outfit which is going to show your shoulders and which is, or if it's off shoulder, for example, a lot of those are really in. It looks really tacky, to put on plastic straps or to let your straps show because, that's just not cool.
That's true. I agree as well. So give us a few tricks that you use for hair and makeup. So what would you do on a day that you wake up with a pimple and you have ad shoot?
Well, in case I wake up with a pimple on my face, then I go to my most trusted foundation. It works like a miracle. Of course, it doesn't make the pimple disappear, but it camouflages it.
And which one is it?
I use a MAC Studio Fix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I use the MAC Concealer and the MAC Studio Fix. So I think it totally camouflages it in terms of, if the acne is looking red or if it's just looking just too out of place, you can camouflage it with a little bit of foundation.
Right. And on a bad hair day, what would you do?
Well, thanks to the trends these days, making a braid or a messy bun is not considered bad anymore.
Right.
So I sort of use that to my advantage. And and also I think it's very important to you to have a few sort of, hair irons or an ironing rod. If you're very, if you're keen about how you look, if it's important to you how you look,
right.
I think it's important to buy a few of these things. Hair straightener goes a long way, and ironing, what do you call it? A tong, ironing tong, that
right.
goes a long way. So you can use these to sort of, save your day.
Okay. And any weight management tips for women, because especially younger women, who really don't know how to eat right, how to look stylish, how to look like a model. They're all aspiring to look like you. So is there anything that you would say that you should stay away from? And not the usual stuff that we hear like fried
Correct.
food and stuff, but personally, what do you do?
See, I feel there's a lot of awareness nowadays. Initially, back in the day, people just didn't know what suited them, what did not suit them. See, everybody's body type is very, very different. Your metabolic rate, your genes, nobody is going to be the same, right? So what suits me perhaps might not suit another person. So I think there are a lot of nutritionists out there. It's always good to seek help. It's not about, I don't want to go on a diet. It's not about that. It's about finding out what suits your body type and what doesn't. But overall, I think it's very obvious. Everyone knows, something, of course, which, something which is loaded with sweet and sugar and something that's deep fried, of course, has a lot more calories. Things which are, made lightly, like a salad, can taste yummy if you dress it up properly. So it's not about just eating salads or just eating, unseasoned food, but you
Right.
can make food taste
Okay.
good as well. Also, I feel one has to constantly keep changing their exercise routine. If you're going to the gym, it shouldn't be that you go to the gym 7 days a week, You should throw in some yoga, you should throw in some swimming, you should throw in some MMA, which is mixed martial arts, or kickboxing, because, that routine gets very, very boring if you get set in that one routine, and then that's when you get complacent, and then you have your lazy days, and it becomes difficult to, be regular at in any of the things that you're doing. So I think it's important to try a few different things.
Right. On that note, I think I'm going to take a break because I need to write down all of these tips and tricks. We'll be right back.
It was rated Goregaon's most intelligent podcast. It was the best new podcast of the day when it was launched. And now, the irreverent brand of attempted humor and botched education is coming your way. You have many burning questions.
So what is the Brexit? What do mathematicians do, man?
Introducing Simplified, a weekly podcast that deconstructs issues around you, such as what on earth is Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin is just another currency like the rupee or dollar. The difference here is it's a virtual currency.
Do resolutions in cameras really matter?
They think that just because a number is higher, what they're getting is actually more.
And encryption.
So, encryption, is a process of encoding messages in such a fashion that only the intended recipient sees it in its intended format.
Hosted by Narendra Shanoy, a very wise man who can't stop making B.G. Woodhouse references. And Deepak Gopalakrishnan, who calls himself Chuck, a madman who can't stop making poor jokes.
Naren, what do you call a forest where you find all the latest news?
I don't have a good feeling about
A topical rainforest.
Follow Chuck and Naren as they scour Google and read Wikipedia for you and condense it into language you can understand. Simplify, helping you appear smarter to an audience that knows no different.
Hey guys, I'm back with my little notepad where I've been writing all the cool tips that I've heard from Anchal. Thank you so much, Anchal. Are you now ready for our most fun round, which is the rapid fire round?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so let's
it.
make this really quick and peppy. Best thing about your job?
Travel.
Worst thing about your job?
Lack of sleep.
One advice you would give to people who want to become a model?
Be disciplined.
One thing we don't know about modeling?
Models eat.
One misconception about you?
I have temper issues.
Okay. Fashion is?
Fashion is fun. Fashion is sexy. Fashion is stylish. Fashion is about being comfortable.
Okay. What did you eat for breakfast?
Today I had a bowl of cereal and some boiled eggs.
Okay. If you could live anywhere, where would you choose to live?
Bombay, and only Bombay.
Okay. Morning, noon or night?
Morning.
What's your nickname?
Anna.
Oh. What's your favorite color?
Red. It keeps changing actually with every
By
season,
the season,
but right now it's red.
Right now, red like a deep red or like a blood red?
Like a blood red.
Okay. Best Bollywood actress?
Deepika. I think she's doing really well.
Okay. Do you have tattoos?
Yes, I do. One.
Where and what is it?
It's on my left shoulder and it's a phoenix.
Okay, nice. Are you in love?
Yeah, totally.
You're married to the one that you love.
Yes, I am.
Chocolates or flowers?
Flowers.
Your favorite place to shop in Mumbai?
The Palladium.
Okay.
The Palladium shopping mall.
And something on a budget?
Well, I've never really had a budget. But
You don't go budget shopping.
haven't been, thankfully, for a very, very, very long time, thankfully. But yeah, back in the day, perhaps Colaba Causeway for, they have really quirky accessories.
Right. Workout preference?
A mixture of mixed martial arts as well as cardio and weight training.
Okay. How do you deal with criticism?
Well, I think it's very important to listen to the person who has a comment to make, but at the same time, I try not to get too affected by it. If I feel that there is scope of improvement, of course I'll improve upon it. But if I feel that it's uncalled for, then I'll probably ignore it.
Okay. Best dressed actor in Bollywood?
Ranveer Singh.
Okay. And finally, what makes you smile?
Happiness. I think when things go my way. And, to keep it on a lighter note, shopping makes me happy. Shopping makes me smile.
Well, thank you for the honesty, Anchal. And now we're going to answer a few questions from our listeners.
Yeah, sure.
So, Prerna Shah has asked, what is your pet peeve?
Several, right? So there's several sort of things. See, I tend to get very, very lazy. So that's something that I've always struggled with, So I try and start my day with a sort of an exercise. I try and do yoga in the morning. If not, I try and go for a jog or a quick run. But there are times when that's not possible in Bombay because, the infrastructure doesn't really allow you to walk on the roads or to go for a jog. So that sort of annoys me. And then I just start my day being very lazy, so I wish there was more we could do.
Okay. So Shivani Modi asks, what are the 3 wardrobe staples that every girl must have?
I think it's very, very important to have a nice pair of jeans. I think, it's really important. You can team them with something casual and make it look very casual and wear it every day, or you can even team slightly formal sort of a top and wear it so it's effortless. So everybody should have a pair of jeans. I think people should have sneakers, at least 2 pairs. Everyone should have 2 pairs because they're comfortable. You can use them for your workouts. At the same time, you can make them look quirky with a short skirt or a dress. And thirdly, I think, you can't go wrong with a black dress, right? It makes I think black makes everybody look good. So I think a black dress is important.
Okay, nice. And finally, Riddhi Shah asks, what is your favorite outfit for the red carpet?
I love sporting the super glamorous sort of look So I think a nice gown designed either by Gavin McGill or by Swapnil Shinde. These two guys are my absolute favorites. Or a nice outfit by Gaurav Gupta. I think something like that would be ideal.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for talking to us, Anchal. Lots and lots of success to you in the future. And we hope to see you soon again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was fun chatting with you.
Thank you so much for tuning in, listeners. We will catch you again next week where we speak to ace jewelry designer Shaheen Abbas. Until then, you can get in touch with us on Facebook at Styleogram Official and on Instagram at Styleogram_official. Until then, like I always say, keep it stylish.